South Dakota School Line Student Association Senate to order. Roll call and approval of proxies.
All are operating. Butcher.
Here.
Kent.
Here.
Captain. Here. Lawson. Fernandez. Here. Fink.
Here.
Keel. Here. Leonard.
Here.
Lewis. Here. Lindgren.
Here.
Masters. Here. Moriarty.
Here.
Quintana. Richards.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Seidman.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Stanek.
Here.
Stolman.
Here.
Severson.
Here.
Vosved.
Here.
Winter.
Here.
Yermolovich.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Alrighty. Did everyone get a chance to look at the final agenda I sent out? That was like probably 5 minutes ago. I sent that final one out. Yeah, we added Magic Gather Club this afternoon. So, any changes or revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on, approval of minutes. So we actually have 2 sets of minutes to approve. That was last week's minutes and then the week before that, which is, what was that, October 16th? Okay, yeah. October 16th minutes and then last week was October 16th. So the week before that, October 9th. Sorry, yeah, October 9th and October 16th minutes. We'll go October 9th first since that's the earlier one. Did everyone get a chance to look at the October 9th minutes, the new ones, I guess? Any problems now with those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes on October 9th say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, that passes. And then, did everyone get a chance to look over last week's minutes now? Cool. Any issues with that? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving last week's minutes say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, looks like those are approved. Moving on, we have 3 open floor guests today. We'll start off with the Rocket Flower Club. Got some members in.
Alright, so we are the Rocker Car Club. We are a group of like-minded individuals that mostly revolves around cars. Working on cars, car meets, car photography, pretty much anything that has to do with cars, and you will be liked. So, as far as this presentation goes, I just have some pictures here that we've taken over the last few years, different events we've done, and yeah. So, like I said, this group was founded to be for like-minded individuals at Minds to have a common interest in cars, to work on, bounce ideas off of, hang out with. So, like I said, as far as this presentation goes, just pictures. So, this is a car show that we had a few years ago. This is actually before I was here at Minds. This was in 2019, I believe. And if you guys just want to cycle through this, so this is again the car show. And pretty much it doesn't have to be car shows, it's just photography. Someone has a cool camera they wanted to try out, we do rollers, and so this is a more recent meet here. We have car meets. This is basically, for those of you that don't know, this is like a car show, except for there's a lot less planning. It's kind of, hey, me and a group of guys are going to go to this place, and we're going to hang out and talk cars and kind of see what we're all working on. So again, this is, and we do cruises. We usually do a car meet followed by a cruise. This is usually pretty loosely organized. We typically go on some short drives, hour or less in the hills, hit some curvy roads and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And again, these are just pictures that I've taken at meets and stuff. So, yeah, basically we're just trying to get together as many car enthusiasts at Minds as we possibly can. And if you keep going through the pictures, again, this is a car build here. So this is, again, not really directly related with campus, but this is a build that our previous president who graduated did, and he liked to involve all of us on it, you know, where we could help a hand and lend a hand and help with the process of building that. But we are not limited to just the road. We do off-road events as well. A little bit less lately, but trying to get back into some more off-roading events, stuff like that. So this is our most recent car show. This was what was that? It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had the stadium lot, and we had a pretty good turnout. Our car shows we don't limit to mine students. This was right after the big parade and car show downtown, so we got a few people that had their cars entered in the car show downtown to come out and participate in this event. It was a lot of fun. So there's our group of friendly volunteers working our booth. Just some more pictures from there. But as you guys can kind of tell, we're pretty laid back, and it's pretty much just a group of friends that like to get together and work on cars. So we decided to maybe take that into something a little bit more and try to get more students.
Any questions for Car Club?
How many people are in the club right now, Ed?
Right now we have 36 people on our roster.
Okay.
I had a question earlier, but I forgot what I was going to say. So, if I come back at it, I'll email you.
Okay.
Or something. Oh no, I remember the question now. Are you guys the people who go down Mount Rushmore like every now and again?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, because I drive by sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally we go out there. We haven't made it up there this year as a group, but I'm sure you see one or two or three or four of us out there every once in a while.
Cool. Yeah. I know that happens quite a bit. We're part of that, so that's cool.
There's multiple groups, like just individual groups in Rapid that do their own car stuff too, like Facebook groups. So we'll involve ourselves with them sometimes and just get together with more people in the city instead of just mine students. So, I mean, a lot of times it's just those Facebook groups you'll see around. Sometimes we'll be with them, but you never know.
Right. Any other questions or comments for Carlo? All right, thank you for coming. All right, moving on. We have the Lost and Found Club presenting to us today.
So hi, I'm Laura Hutz. I'm a junior mechanical engineer. I've been working with Whitney Bishop, who's been here on campus now for since last semester, and we've been working together to start a Lost and Found Mines chapter. So we're going to go ahead and hit next slide. I know Whitney came 2 weeks ago and gave a little bit of an introduction about what Lost and Found is, because she's been on campus for just a little bit while now. We've done a couple events, and so just as an overview of Lost and Found, it was started at University of South Dakota back in 2010 just by a group of students who wanted to make an impact on mental health at the university. It's then spread since then across the state and even into Minnesota. And so there's 12 colleges across the state in Minnesota that all have chapters or peer-to-peer programs by Lost and Found. And then the Lost and Found Mines chapter is the only group that's really focused on mental health here at the school. We're really just trying to form connections between students, because we find that when people have connections with other people, they're more willing to talk with each other about things like mental health. And so that really just helps make people bring down the stigma of it, take some of that weight off of the counseling center, because I know the counseling center gets a lot of new students, especially with the beginning of the school year. You get all the freshmen that are away from home that have never been in this kind of situation before, and so we're just trying to forge those connections between freshmen and other freshmen and older students, really just kind of ties that community together and helps mental health overall. So in the Wellness Fair of Spring 2024 and in the Organization Fair of 2025, we've had a total of 44 students that have been interested in either the peer-to-peer programming or the club chapter. And I think for the ones that are purely club chapter, there's like 35, I believe, that we currently have on our roster. You can hit next slide. And so this is our current roster for head of officers, and so I would be acting as the president. Jaden Moriarty would be our vice president, and then we have a freshman as our secretary, Adam Kaufman. We have Ben Vale, another junior, as our treasurer. We have Michael Landy from the mechanical engineering department as our advisor, and then we would have technically a lost and found advisor, which would be Whitney, and she serves as our community prevention advisor, or CPA, and she just helps make sure that we're still aligning with lost and found values, and we're putting on events that really help work towards making a better mental health on campus. And so this is kind of the demographics. It's actually like you can see on that one. I'm reading off of the back one, so I'm like, it's really hard to see on there. But on these, you can see kind of our majors overall and our students that are really interested in this. And so we have a lot of freshmen that are really interested in this, which is great, because that's really what we're aiming for, is to be able to get freshmen connected. And then we really have a nice little overall of majors. Of course, there's more mechanical engineers, because that's just how campus is. But yeah, that's kind of our chapter demographics. We can hit next slide. And so events so far, and what we're planning to do, we already are doing weekly meetups. We meet bi-weekly, Monday afternoons. And then monthly events, the goal of Lost and Found is to hold one event per month that is working towards forming connections or doing some kind of mental health workshop. And so we actually have one this week, this Friday, that we're doing a board game night. We're working with the Tabletop Club, and we're going to be hosting a board game night with Walking Tacos, and so that's just to be able to form connections with other students that might be interested in the same things. We're also working on possibly doing kind of like a rec night next month, and then thinking about some kind of like slumber party or evening get together later in the semester, or working on towards next semester. And then some things we've already done. We participated in Chalk the Walk. We worked with the council office with that. We actually worked with some of the businesses downtown, and so this was the first year we did that. Is we actually had businesses downtown during that week also chalk up their sidewalks in front of their places to try to make it more of a citywide event to really incorporate more of the community. And then for funding, I know that funding kind of gets spread thin along with clubs, and so Lost and Found actually provides our chapters with $500 a school year. And so that's kind of where most of our sources, our funds are going to be coming from. And then we're going to be doing a couple fundraising events a year, so just kind of one or two, once a semester kind of thing. And so we're actually not planning to need any SOAP funding in the near future. So at least while I'm around for the next few years, and then probably in the next few years after that, as long as we're kind of still getting that Lost and Found funding, it's unlikely that we're going to need any SOAP funding prior to that. So that's kind of the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any questions about the chapter.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Presenting. Thank you. All right. Moving on, we now have Magic the Gathering Club.
Hi all, my name's Corey Engelstad, and this is Ethan Clark, and we're here to talk to you guys about forming a Magic the Gathering club. So background on what Magic the Gathering is, if you're not familiar, it's a card game played with Magic the Gathering cards, and then you use those cards to make your own deck of Magic the Gathering cards, and then you use those to play against your opponents. Decks are typically unique, so each player has their own deck, and it's usually around 4 people, but you can't do more or less than that. And then the objective of the game is just to use your deck in order to beat your opponent's deck. Our main objective is to enjoy spending time together and just sort of play Magic the Gathering with our friends. We're also looking to build social skills and just kind of relax and play a card game. We're also looking to teach new members the rules of Magic the Gathering so that they can join us, and then we're just looking to have fun. So compared to other clubs, like for instance, Tabletop Club is in a relatively similar vein, but I think Magic the Gathering carves out its own niche well enough. There's a lot of different players globally, and then there's a lot of different Magic the Gathering cards. So there's a lot of different different avenues you can go down when you're making Magic the Gathering decks. There's a lot of complexity in Magic is one of my favorite things about it. On the left here, there's like an example of a 25-step combo that you can do in Magic the Gathering, and then on the right there's some like creatures in Magic the Gathering that can attack and block, and then depending on how many you have, you can attack and block with other ones. So there's a lot of different avenues that you can go down, a lot of different paths, and that's something that's kept Magic interesting for me long enough to where I wouldn't want to just drop it and like pick up another board game. I'd want to stick with this one. And then every game is different because you have that many different cards. You have a lot of different options for your deck, and they all play differently. And then if you have your opponents also having a different deck, that can also lead to more interesting and, I guess, gameplay that keeps you coming back. So our officers, advisors, I am going to be the president, hopefully, and Ethan as the vice president.
Yeah, vice president.
And then we also have Secretary Isaac, Treasurer Mark, and Advisor Dr. Anderson. Currently, we've had 29 members this year. We're relatively evenly split between grades, and then we're using Discord for our communication most of the time. Current events that we're doing, we're meeting every Friday at 6 p.m. in the basement of the classroom building, and then we're also focusing on different formats of Magic the Gathering. If you're familiar with Magic, like Commander, Pauper, etc. And then we're also hosting tournaments. Currently, the plan is to host it once a semester, and then our first tournament is actually coming up on Friday at the end of October here. And then fundraising, we are planning on applying for SOAP funding at some point. We don't have any current dates that we're planning on, just sometime in the future. And then to go along with that, we're planning on having tournaments with the local game stores that the local game stores run Magic Gathering events and related things like that. And we're hoping to talk to them, maybe get something where we can partner up with them and have like a joint tournament type of thing. And then other fundraising we're planning on doing is local restaurants around Rapid City, like Concheros, Waves Pizza, etc. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions.
I mean this in the best possible way. Why aren't you guys just joining Tabletop Club? Is Tabletop Club too broad or?
A little broad, yeah.
Okay.
We want to focus on just playing Magic the Gathering, I guess, is kind of what we're doing.
Oh, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'll go, Secretary Garcia, and Senator Iverson.
So, I have two things for you guys. Firstly, how are you guys planning on handling the pricing of the tournaments? Secondly, are you guys planning on having these tournaments be paid to enter like a normal tournament of these types, or are they going to be free participation for club members?
Current plan is no prize support and no paid entry. Just casual tournament, just playing.
Senator Iverson.
How many members do you currently have?
29.
Senator Richards.
What is most of your spending going towards?
Most of the spending, yeah, we didn't put that on the presentation. Most of it would be going towards new decks that we could use for players that are just getting into Magic the Gathering as a way to like teach them and instruct them like the rules of the game, but not have something that's like overly complicated like what was on the slides earlier.
Senator Leonard.
Sorry for my confusion, but are Magic the Gathering cards similar to Pokemon cards where there's different? Okay.
Yep.
I'd be concerned about having school funding towards that. I also believe that this falls under Tabletop Club, just like, the D&D groups, they go to Tabletop Club and they organize themselves, especially because you want tournaments to be casual. That feels like something I would follow.
Any other comments or questions? Well, thank you guys for coming. All right, moving on. New business, though. We'll start off first. We'll start off with our resolution for Lost Town Club.
Archer We Resolution Number 24F010 on the 23rd of October 2024, originated by Constitution Committee, Friendly Amendment Committee, presented by myself, whereas adequate interest has been expressed by students wishing to form an organization, Lost and Found, and whereas there's currently no organizations that overlap this interest, and whereas a constitution has been constructed and reviewed for said club, and therefore be resolved by the majority vote of the Student Senate and the signature of the Student Association President, the Constitution for Lost and Found be approved, allowing for formal recognition. Any questions?
Or does this have?
It doesn't need to have. It's just.
All right, we'll see this next week then. Moving on, we have a supplemental for Hard Rock Climbing Club.
Alrighty. Archer We Resolution Number 24F011 on the 23rd of October 2024, originated by Finance Committee, presented by myself. Whereas Hard Rock Climbing Club has approached the Finance Committee with a supplemental request to provide funding for a custom landing mat, a Velcro connector system in 6-inch by 6-inch foam. Whereas the appropriate paperwork has been filed with the Finance Committee, and whereas Hard Rocker Climbing Club has applied for SOAP within the last 5 fiscal years and has met eligibility requirements for supplemental funding, and whereas Hard Rocker Climbing Club has requested the supplemental funding limit, friendly amend that. I had to say it has requested, they didn't hit the limit there. Not to say the supplemental funding has requested supplemental funding of this delete limit of $1,300, and noting $2,000 of the pad upgrade is covered by the King Center, and whereas the Finance Committee has deemed $1,300 as an appropriate amount to allocate to the organization, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that $1,300 be allocated from the SOAP Reverted Funds account for SA003 to Hard Rocker Climbing Club. Any questions?
I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
First of all, does this need to be passed this week?
Yeah, preferably today.
Okay. Second of all, did Climbing Club talk to King Center? Did you talk to King Center about all the?
Yeah, I did talk with the King Center, and then the Climbing Club actually did speak to them, and they were like, yeah, we got that big portion of that covered, the $2,000 right there. And I did additionally see when they put in the application request as well, that there was a significant amount in their foundations and care account, and I was looking at that, like, why can't they just pay it from that? But they have that covered already for equipment, so everything seems fine.
And I would just add, they came in and talked to me about that as well. And I asked them to visit with you at the King Center there. And I looked at this as a project benefiting the climbing wall for all students. So what they've fundraised in their care account, for what they were looking at group activities, I was like, do you have any needs at group activities? So that's where that answer came, that they were planning to use that for actual group activities, not necessarily for additions or refurbishments to the climbing wall.
We'll go Senator Zeekman, Vice President.
To make sure I understand, why is a student board funding a campus facility? Is that, or am I looking at it incorrectly?
So we asked for that as well. Their clarification was the facility is functional, it's an upgrade.
Okay.
It's an upgrade for safety that they're looking at, and the King Center agreed that it'd be a worthwhile upgrade, but it's not necessary to keep it within like current safety limits. So it's for them to be able to use it for more events, bigger events.
So the club would be effectively donating this to the school in a way? Like the club doesn't need to take it with them if they just stay at the
Well,
club?
that's technically how also money
Yes.
is. All
Okay.
discovered property anyways.
Yeah.
So
Making sure, I'm
yeah, it's
trying to
their money if they want to take it. So
So I just want to clarify this.
$3,300 for a custom landing mat, Velcro system, and 6x6 foam.
Yeah, so that was like the combined total that they put on the expenses, and then the King Center covered that 2,000.
Senator Leonard?
Would those be available to all students, or would
Yes.
somebody just?
And then it would be same as the corporate total.
Senator Rasta?
I got a question. Pulling up the Excel sheet here, I see quantity 4, custom landing mat covering all 6 foot by 6 foot by 12 inches thick. Is that correct?
I would assume so, yes.
So 4 of those 6 by 6 foam.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. Instead of like putting that in plural, I should have just put like foams right there.
So that's where we're getting that cost to come from.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Senator Lockwood, any motion, or, Senator, Linder?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Seconded by, Senator Fink, all those in favor of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. Senator Fink?
Motion's vote.
Motion's vote by Senator Fink, seconded by, Senator Lindgren. Roll call vote.
Colorado. Butcher.
Aye.
Camps.
Aye.
Kevin. Clausen. Fernandez. Fink.
Aye.
Keel. Leonard. Lewis. Lincoln. Masters. Moriarty. Quintana. Richards. Shaw. Seacon. Smith. Stanek. Stolman. Severson. Boston. Winter. Yumalovich. What was that? Motion passes.
All right. Moving on now, we have Magic Gathering Club, resolution.
Archer We resolution number 24/F/012 on the 23rd of October 2024, originated by Constitution Committee, presented by myself. Whereas adequate interest has been expressed by the students wishing to form an organization, Hard Rocker MTG, and whereas there are currently no organizations that overlap with this interest, and whereas a constitution has been constructed and reviewed for said club, and therefore be it resolved by majority vote of the students, senate, and the signature of the student association president that the constitution for the Hard Rocker MTG club be approved, allowing for formal recognition.
Anyone make a comment on this? I was hoping that the club would cover this, but apparently not. So I think there is an argument for and against covering it under tabletop clubs. Same argument can be made for clubs like Chess Club. I personally feel like that Magic the Gathering has enough of a distinction away from tabletop games where it could be classified as its own club because, as they said, in tournaments, there are different things. Like, it's kind of like Pokemon, but it's a little bit more than that. I know people who play this game. I play this game myself, so I understand kind of the difference between this regular tabletop game. Magic the Gathering, I understand why they want to have their own club and student interest away from it. So I just want to put that out there in the air for everyone to think about. Senator Lewis.
I'd like to make a comment to leave out in the air as well that the Finance Committee is currently working on centering Camp Hall under its own umbrella, no matter how different all the clubs are. Do with that information what you will, in an effort to save money in differentiating SOAP across multiple clubs.
Yes. Senator Leonard.
My thing was that tabletop was currently used as the D&D organizer as well, and
Right.
since they didn't want to charge for tournaments, my argument would be that they could organize under tabletop their own casual tournaments as well. My other concern is also if we make them a club and they come to us for school money, I really feel comfortable allowing student funds to go towards club cards that are collectibles. And I don't know what kind of message we're sending that would be.
Right. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Senator Gaffney.
I don't see how spending money for the club like this has anything to do with the collectible cards. They may have the cards themselves. They're not
They said they
necessarily-
wanted to purchase the cards.
Yeah, I guess, but I would say, yeah, I agree with you on that, but not necessarily that.
I don't think that's reason to say no to it, but I
Yeah.
think that's reason and I would have to support it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I think generally.
Senator Smith.
Another thing to note, alongside your point, is that they're very expensive. Like, some are cheap, yes, but if they're making a whole deck for new players, they might be making one or two. That can get really expensive if you want a good card, or if you want to have multiple decks just for people to come and play.
Senator Lewis.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend discussion at the moment so senators can discuss with their constituents over the course of the following week.
Yes. All right, let's do this next item. Alrighty, moving on to open discussion. We actually do have a point of open discussion, which is partnership with the South Dakota Mines Sustainability Committee.
So I can speak to this. Eva Chase from the Sustainability Committee reached out, and they're looking to add 2 student representatives to their committee. They would be meeting monthly on Zoom to talk about sustainability on campus. I still have to get more details on what exactly they do or what purview they have, but if that's interesting to anyone here, please let me know right after the meeting and we can discuss potentially putting on that committee. But I think this would be a good opportunity to, I don't know, get more leadership experience and get to work with administrators on campus. Any questions about that?
I was just looking for questions, yeah. Moving on to CFO report.
Hello all. Thank you for passing the supplemental for our Confinement Club. And then this week we had soap workshops, so there's the first one that was yesterday. And then there's the second one in the same location in Classroom Building 204 West. And then there was another reminder email. There was like an issue with the reminder email being sent out, but there is one. And the other thing to report is I did meet with Vice President Smindle with Vice President Lee today. Vice President Lee will go over more in depth in his report about that meeting today. Otherwise, I will report.
Any comments, questions, concerns for CFO Lockwood? Seeing none, moving on to Vice President reports.
Good evening. I would like to report briefly on my meeting with Dr. Spindle earlier today about the proposed tuition increase. Pull that up real quick. So Dr. Spindle was there as well as Aaron Corinne from budgeting, CFO Lockwood was there as well. We talked about a little bit about why the finance department is proposing this tuition increase, about what that increase would be, and then how we want to convey this proposal to the student body. I'll just summarize what we talked about in terms of the motivation behind the tuition increase. Obviously, with inflation, costs are rising. We saw that with the Equal building, going from the budgeted $34 million to $45 million now. $3 million of that increase actually came from our kind of rainy day fund, if you will, and then the rest of it came from pulling money together from a lot of different donors. So, increased costs. We're also seeking to hire faculty for existing vacancies that have never been filled. So that would be an increase in the budget going to salaries. In addition, there is a good chance nationwide that enrollment of high schoolers in college will be decreasing just because there are fewer high schoolers nationally, but also because of less, I guess, interest in college. And so, obviously, fewer students means less money coming in as revenue to the universities kind of in our same category with similar offerings. He showed me a table kind of comparing the per credit hour tuition rates, and yes, we're at the bottom of the table at our current rate. I would like to see how that changes with the updated rates. We didn't necessarily have very concrete data on that, so I'll be working with him to get some more solid numbers, I guess, that they're more confident about. He threw out the $1,500 yearly, $1,500 increase at the end of the 4-year rollout. That would be per engineering student, average engineering student per year. But again, that number was very ballpark, he said, and was only very roughly estimating what an engineering student would pay. Obviously that changes depending on whether you're considered out of state, depends on whether you're a grad student, undergrad, depends on what discipline you're in and what type of classes you're taking. So he will be providing better numbers to me in the upcoming days, and hopefully drafting an email that can be sent to the student body to inform them of these changes. I would like to hear your thoughts on whether we should be sending out that kind of information email to the student body, or whether that should come directly from finance. Right now, I'm sitting with, it should come from finance because that's their proposal, and students can obviously express their concerns to us if they have issues with that. I also did invite Dr. Spindle and Aaron Grimm to present sometime soon in Senate, so if you have additional questions, you can wait for that, or you can ask them right now. I may be able to answer them.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, Vice President Lee. So I just got back from here and had a meeting with the Board of Regents, and I think we need to wait. Like, I'm glad that you invited Vice President Spindle and Aaron Grimm, Budget Manager, to come to talk to you with a formal answer. But as of today, the Board of Regents, they know that that's the recommendation from the Finance Office, but the staff in Pierre told me today, in a room of 30 other people, that they're not willing to bring that request to the actual regents, the 9 regents, at the December meeting, for a lot of reasons, but mostly because we'll have a new president in January. And they don't want the very first thing that a new president is having to defend to the board as a large tuition increase, or seemingly large tuition increase, given the last 4 years with no increase. So I don't know that Dr. Spindle even knows that yet. And literally, you guys saw me, I walked in like 10 minutes late here. I did text interim President Roberts, so he knows. But probably a lot more to come on that.
Okay.
So nothing's written in stone, but my guess is it's very likely that there will not be it. The staff of the Board of Regents just isn't willing to bring that request even to the 9 regents who would make the decision. So sorry, I don't want to, it was like really good report, good information, but that might prompt less or more questions. I don't know.
Senator Seaman?
From a PR standpoint, as we, this is not, for lack of a better term, this is not our decision as a Senate. I don't feel like we have the obligation to report it. I agree that we can be student voice to admin, as we always have been, but I don't believe that it's our duty to send the email, I think, to finance office, personally.
Senator Lewis?
I want to clarify a couple things. So, our finance office on this campus has put together a proposal for a request to increase tuition. At the final BOR meeting that I attended in May, the BOR, they didn't discuss it actually at the meeting, but mingling around and everyone was discussing that that the BOR themselves is going to bring a request for a tuition increase this year because of South Dakota's expansion on Medicaid, one of the ones, right? And they will have leftover money to fund the tuition freeze that they have the last couple of years. Is that still a discussion at BOR meetings now?
Yeah, so I can actually go on to this. Yeah, so that's becoming a bit of a discussion point. I know this is a federation. Yeah, like our last student, or I guess our student federation meeting in Brookings, so last BOR meeting, we discussed, there was this pretty big discussion from the finance side about the fact that we don't think that the Senate, the Senate Finance Committee basically will the 2 weeks past it, but, basically what she was saying was, finance person from the BOR, was saying that these programs that we have enjoyed the past couple of years will be, probably will be funded because, yes, what you're saying, the Medicaid program expansion, so, yeah, I'm talking in terms of basically, you are correct in that assumption, that's kind of a big discussion at the Student Federation level, Center Chief and Impact.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. Again, yeah, a lot of what they've been saying is things are going to be different this year, and they won't know how much or what will be different until the budget gets passed after the legislative session. They're committed to keeping things as affordable as possible, as low as possible. That's a collective goal, but there's so much up in the air. They mentioned that they had a meeting with Governor Nome, and she wasn't even willing to commit to anything verbally because things are so far up in the air. So, a lot of unknowns. But again, a commitment to Board of Regents wide to affordability for all universities.
But no region spoke at the meeting or outside of it and said, expect something to come from our side, so we're just waiting. So I just see balls coming from 2 different directions, right? I see the finance office one, and I see the discussion about the BOR one, and I didn't know. It sounds like right now we're waiting on it sounds like we're waiting on legislative session in January, and then also finance to be proposing like March or May if it doesn't happen in January or doesn't get discussed at the state level. Does that sound right?
What they said at the last meeting on our end was that they had private discussions and things were going to be discussed in December is what I remember, but it sounds like things are being adjusted since then.
Thank you.
Any other points of discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll move on to my report. So, hi guys, thanks for joining me today. The main thing I want to cover in my report is somewhat of an update on the camp and gap situation. We had a pretty big discussion about it today in our executive committee. I think the direction we're going to start moving in, because this is expanding upon your point of discussing in finance committee. The direction we're going to move in terms of expanding that is we're more going to try to restructure it under SOAP rather than move it under a separate division gap. There were a bunch of issues brought up with this. I'm going to have another talk with Amy Lorenzo from camp just to kind of dig more deep into the organization of camp. We've talked to a bunch of students in camp. I myself personally have become somewhat involved in camp due to the senior design. So I've been able to see from the inside. I've been talking to people from the inside. People on the executive team have been talking from the inside. Senators have been coming to me about talking to people on the inside of camp, just so that I feel like we've gotten a better perspective of what's going on in camp. So that's partially what's fueled our decision to move it under, just keep it under SOAP. Another part of the decision is simply we don't feel like it would be very beneficial either way. We don't feel like it would be beneficial enough to move it under its own division in GAF, I guess. Move camp under GAF because basically what we would be doing moving under GAF is just separating it out so it looks like it's a different thing, because it kind of is a different thing, but it kind of isn't. They're still student orgs, and the benefit in doing that is something we can do just by separating it out within SOAP. Main benefit, I guess, to put it all on the table of doing it is going to BOR and saying, hey, look at these camp, they take this amount of money. This is a big thing that GAP funds. So would you please take a GAP increase in consideration? Just like kind of using it as a bargaining chip almost, but that we just don't feel like that's really beneficial to our, it's not beneficial to separate it out under, do all this stuff to separate it out under GAP, because it's a lot of work for something very little. So that's how we feel about it. So, but we are still exploring options to restructuring it under SOAP due to the other practical issues brought up by it. So that is something that I have been really focusing on for the past about week now. Other stuff, I have sent out a survey to see if people have interest in joining the commencement committee, I've only got one response so far, so if everyone could try to fill that out by the end of the meeting. I don't think we're going to do another stage. Should we? I would prefer everyone get.
Don't want to be on the committee?
If you do or don't want to be on committee, we just need 2 people on the commencement committee, so I would be very appreciative if you want to be on the commencement meeting, literally go into the form, put your name, put yes, submit. It takes 2 seconds, so please do that. And then I will also be sending out a form of interest for the, or did we decide, we do need to put people on the sustainability committee, right? Yes. So I will be sending out a form of interest for the sustainability committee as well. How many students do we do that again? 2 students, all right. So that's another 2 students that we would need for the sustainability committee. So please, if you want to be on the sustainability committee, we'll send out a little more blurb information about it, and then as well as a survey to see if to gauge interest of who wants to be on the committee. So other than that, any reports, any questions or comments, concerns from me? Seeing none, move on to our international report. All right, veteran report. Congratulations. Oh, you're in for me.
Anyway, the grand prize for the raffle for the Chili Cook-Off will be a PS5 once again. The registration fee for it is $15, and the sign-up sheet is in the BRC. So let your fellow constituents know that the sign-up sheet for the Chili Cook-Off is in the BRC.
I want to make a comment. I'm sorry, right now I have the capacity of a goldfish, so I just forgot your name. So, all right. Any questions, comments, concerns for Senator Winter? Seeing none, moving on to our graduate report.
The Graduate Student Society is putting a Mount Rushmore trip for the beginning of November, so I will report back on those.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Lewis? Seeing none, moving on to non-track reports.
Okay, yeah, so this is actually something I've been wanting to work on for a little bit because it's something I struggle with, and I've heard other non-traditional students have struggled with, and that is finding scholarships, because it's pretty difficult to find. I'm in my junior year and I just found and got a non-traditional scholarship. So what I've done is earlier today I reached out to financial aid to see if they'd be interested in working with me to get a list of scholarships that are geared towards non-traditional students. So the school does have a scholarship list, but it's pretty long and lengthy, and there's some that they're not for non-traditional students, but they could apply for them. But there's also a bunch on there that were aged out, pretty much. So I think it'd be very beneficial for non-trads to have their own little list for non-traditional students. So hopefully they'll get back to me. I'd like to work with them and you meet with them and see if we can do that together.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Cantz? Seeing none, moving on to constitutional reports.
Hello everyone, Senator Al-Arabi, I'd like to make a couple notes. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the oral presentations today. We will be having another next week. We also wanted to make a comment on the Magic the Gathering Club and the discussion we were having earlier. We deemed that this group didn't have overlapping interest, and then if I understand what he was saying, right before he left, that the Magic the Gathering Club did exist before the Tabletop Club, and this is just a reinstatement of that club. And I'm wrong on that, or anybody knows that's true, if I'm understanding that right, but it was a separate interest that existed before the Tabletop Club at all. So that's just something to think over. And that's the end.
All right. I do have a question, or comment slash question. So maybe I hear a lot of concerns about them using their funds to buy cards. Maybe if we encourage them not to do that, or encourage donations of playing cards, that probably might be the best course of action to go forward, getting this information now that we're actually the older club here. So
yeah, if they get approved, you could be like, if you wanted to invest in those cards, but
Is that not?
Is it not the same with the organization? That's what the if it's not staying with the club, then I can't fund it.
Okay, so we kind of do provide for that in a way. Okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? For the Constitution Committee? Seeing none, moving on to Public Relations Report.
Not much today. I need to speak to, if my phone will open, Senator Moriarty, Senator Stolman, and Senator Yermolovich after the meeting. We need to figure out a plan to get you guys headshots. So, nothing bad, not in trouble, but come see me after the meeting, please. And it will work.
Any questions,
Oh,
comments?
sorry. On a StuFed note, we have a meeting on Thursday to discuss the student regent position, what Student Federation's plan is for tuition freezes, and formulate us just a game plan going forward on that on a Student Federation level. And third thing, yeah. Really for this. Sorry, I'm blanking.
Yes, it was.
Yes, okay. So just a general meeting, I will not be able to be there for about 45 minutes into the meeting. They scheduled it when I was unavailable. So Senator Archer will be, or President Archer, excuse me, will be there in my stead until I get there. End of report.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Tiefman? Seeing none, moving on to our government relations report.
So next week on Wednesday is our Halloween party. So please, if you can, wear some sort of costume. We'll have a little contest. We're going to be doing walking tacos, and if anybody's interested in donating desserts, let me know. I'll be bringing one, kind of trying to do that potluck style. We have Panchero meal on the 15th. We're doing a Friendsgiving sort of thing at Applebee's on the 20th as a fundraiser. And then this weekend on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. we're doing another monument day. This will probably be the last one this semester. I did send out an email last week, but just in case you didn't see it, I'm going to list the senators I currently have who are supposed to be there. Senator Stanek, Senator Lewis, Senator Rockford, Senator Severson, Senator Masters, Senator Fink, Senator Boucher, and Senator Moriarty. And if that doesn't work, I need to know today.
That's for the monument this Saturday?
Yes, this Saturday, October 26th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you feel like going and I didn't say your name, you can also stop.
What is the event?
From 9 a.m. to 5
No, what is the event?
Oh, it's stage year.
Oh, that's right.
I believe that's all.
Right. Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Langer? Seeing none, moving on to student affairs report.
Our meeting has been scheduled to 1 p.m. on Thursdays and in the Senate office. I met with Rod Sales today at 1, and we talked about questions that should go on the wellness center usage survey. And the plan for tomorrow is we'll create a PowerPoint presentation for the climate survey with consolidated information we've done last week. And we'll create a gym usage survey for tomorrow's meeting as well.
Senator Vice President, did you get clarification on what events Rob Sales is planning, with the funds that he's saving from the reduced amount?
I did not ask him that specifically, but he would like to see a question in the survey stating how would you like to see the wellness center offering expanded. So he wants to get students' opinions on that as well.
Any other questions, comments, concerns for Senator Winter? Seeing none, we'll move on to any campus or ad hoc reports. I know there's still some committees that haven't been connected with their respective chairs in their outside Senate. I'm working on getting those emails sent out, so be on the lookout for that. Moving on, upcoming Senate business. Fundraiser on Saturday, like Senator Planner said, and then the Halloween party, as Senator Chief said. So. Enough capacity goldfish, that's what we're working on right now. Seeing none, moving on to announcements. Senator Winter.
63 days for Christmas.
All right, any other announcements? Seeing none. All right. Any motions? Senator Bosted.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Senator Fernandez. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Literally just,
Yeah, but we started.